of the Rings fans, unfortunately for everybody, this is still not New Better Do Better, but this is the Voices of Arda podcast. This is KaliCosplay, determined to bring you the rest of these Voices of Arda member interviews because you definitely need and deserve to hear about all of our members and what they're up to and what they're doing. So, we have today's guest. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Hi, I'm Pete. But you probably know me as Belmont on, most social media. I like to talk about Lord of the Rings a lot.
You sure do, and we like to listen. Pete, where do we find you on social media?
The username is be1mont underscore
Ah,
Lord of the Rings, LOTR. And the reason why is because it's an old gaming name from back in the day when I used to speedrun Castlevania games, and the main character is named Belmont. So
okay. So this isn't the hotels or the streets or whatever other Belmont things that I
no
see
Belmont
around. Okay.
steaks, no Belmont cigarettes, not the Belmont Hotel
Oh,
that Tolkien stayed at one point in his life. None of that. It's none of that. All right.
have you
I get a lot of.
have you gotten those suggestions?
Oh yeah, you have to understand something. Like the Tolkien Society, they like have my information, but they still call me Pete Belmont. Like it's my last name. I'm like, that's not my last
Yeah.
name. I asked them to change it. They're like, oh, too bad. I was like, fine.
As long as everyone knows who we're talking to, then all right, so you spelt it be1mont,
Yes.
MONT_LOTR. So everybody, please make sure that you are following Pete, not Pete Belmont, but I mean, can we call you? I mean, I feel like that's just your name now, you
Yeah, I
know?
guess that's what Pete Belmont.
Pete Belmont. It could absolutely be worse.
It really could be.
So you love to talk about Lord of the Rings lore. So would you say that is what your Tolkien account is focused on? Like,
We've known each other since I first started doing this, and which has been awesome. I love that. And I've kind of varied. It's always really revolved around lore. There are times where I'll like, I used to make memes, like funny memes a lot. Now I don't really, because I just mostly
okay.
talk about just like lore, because it's, what I like to do. But I like to dabble. I like to sometimes do cooking videos. Sometimes I like to talk about the new adaptations going on, especially with all the announcements with the Hunt for Gollum and, season 3 of Rings of Power and I'm one of those people who I'm not like upset about any of it. This is bound to happen, but I really just revel in the fact that like we're living in a time where we're getting more Lord of the Rings and Tolkien stuff than we ever
Yes.
have in our lives.
Yes.
So, I'm happy.
Give us all of it. Give it all to us. Yes.
hmm
Just tell us about what I mean, I don't need to tell you, I don't think, what's coming up. But for our listeners, what do we have coming up, Pete?
We got a lot of stuff to look forward to. There's a lot of games coming out, actually, board games with Lord of the Rings if you're
Board
interested in
games.
that.
Okay, I
Yes.
definitely haven't talked about those too much, so
Conquest,
please.
Ascension, like a bunch of games. And Middle Earth Enterprises, the social media accounts have been under new management. They found a new person, and they've been awesome. They've actually been like really pushing for a lot of those different aspects where we're seeing new artists featured, new like use of the IP with board games and stuff, and
Mhm.
also a video game coming out with Warhorse, who are the creators of Kingdom Come Deliverance 1 and 2, which are very popular realistic medieval games. So it's open world and it's very on point for what we're looking for with Lord of the Rings. Not only that, we have the Rings of Power is returning in November. A very decisive show at times, but I enjoy it. I've spoken to like the creators before and at San Diego Comic Con, and we've met actually. You and I have met some of the actors, so and they've always been very kind. And I very much appreciate a new perspective, and that's why I like the show so much. But then we're doing a bit of a return to Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, where we're seeing the Hunt for Gollum coming out with Andy Serkis directing it, and that's really exciting because you have people like Leo Goodall, you have Anya Joy Taylor was just announced, James
Mhm.
Dornan coming to be Aragorn, a younger version. And then, of course, we have the Stephen Colbert Project, where now we're seeing, a new movie, The Shadow of the Past, partially based off probably the idea of what that chapter is, being that that's the second chapter of the Fellowship of the Ring. Correct me if I'm wrong. And overall, then we're going to be seeing a lot of stuff that we missed, where it's the gap with the Barrow Downs and maybe Tom Bombadil. But I'm super excited for that because one of the things I actually really enjoy and a lot of people don't know this, I enjoyed the epilogue of Lord of the Rings. We hear about Eleanor Gardner and, the family of the Samwise Gardners or Samwise Gamgees and how they come into prominence. So I'm very excited to see how they explore that too.
I can hear the excitement in your voice, and it makes me excited, Pete. Like I feel the genuine joy and just emanating from you, and it's amazing. I love it. I love it, and now I'm so excited. Is there
Right?
anyone? Yeah, heck yeah. Any one of these you're like particularly interested in?
Wow.
That's so many things, though. That's amazing.
I'm a big gamer. I love playing games. So, and I've
Okay.
played like all the Lord of the Rings games, even the old Super Nintendo one, which is called Fellowship of the Ring Volume 1. They never came out with any more. It was a terrible game. I don't want to lie to you. Um, but I'm excited for that. I'm really excited to see what Stephen Colbert does. I'm very excited to see that because it's just like, it's what like a lot of us are looking for, that nostalgia with a little more like access to the materials. And then, of
Okay.
course, the one thing I didn't announce is, Peter Jackson is in talks with the estate to get more rights to expanded literature like the Silmarillion. I don't know if it's going to be the whole book. I would assume not. Maybe like one of the greater tales that connects into Lord of the Rings, because
Yeah.
Middle Earth Enterprises has the merchandising and distribution rights for The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, right? So I would imagine they would try to tie into one of the stories discussed there, where we're like we hear a part of Beren and Luthien in the books as well in the movies and Lord of the Rings. Not really in the movies, kind of just like she died. It's like, okay, dude. But it's exciting to hear that stuff. So I'm very excited for that. I'm excited for Andy Serkis in the Gollum movie. I wasn't for a long time. I'm not gonna lie to you because it's just like, how much are we really telling here? Not much. But I think it's a return to form where it's fun to be able to go back. Like we have Thranduil coming back, Lee Pace. Like, come on, like watch the movie just for that. Like, so I think there's a lot of exciting things going on, and like I just saw too that Liv Tyler, who played Arwen, wants to like return to Middle Earth as well, and I wonder how like they could tie that in. It would be really cool to see an older Aragorn and Arwen. And like Merry and Pippin show up in Minas Tirith and Gimli and Legolas are there. But that's me having a pipe dream here, just like wishing one day they would do that. But yeah,
You are going all over the chronological map to me in my mind right now.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
this is crazy. But like,
And yeah, the Silmarillion would is it's kind of disjointed bunch of stories. I mean, to anyone who's new, we understand it as, a consolidation of the histories and old tales, but I mean, a new person walking in is going to probably be like, why, who are all these sons and why are they all
why is everyone's name start with F and G?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, the Silmarillion is so interesting because it's after a certain part, it's a lot of Christopher's work. Christopher really made some
Mhm.
choices here. Like, for example, with the story of Turin Turambar or the ruin of Doriath is a chapter completely written by Christopher, with it takes only excerpts that him and Guy Cavriel Kay, who's also a fantasy writer from Canada. That was one of the first things he did out of college was help Christopher work on that. And, they made some choices. But I mean, the Silmarillion is such a great book. Like, there's over 75 characters in it. A lot of people don't realize that. And I was actually talking to a mutual who was on here as well, Mr. Bard of Arda, about who is the main character of the Silmarillion.
Oh
And we both had
gosh.
differing opinions. He said the Silmarils, and I was like, what about like a person? And he said Morgoth, actually. But I say the book is a culmination of one character. It is the culmination of Eärendil, the Blessed. So I would say he's actually somewhat the main character because if you think back to even when Vinyamar was founded, Ulmo speaks about Eärendil. He says there one will come from the sea, and claim these armors and gear in the back. So, and then by the end of it, we see the culmination of all the houses of the Idine and the houses of Finwë and the elves all culminate in the line of Eärendil, who is like, goes on behalf of, men and elves to, you know, ask for help from the Valar. So my personal, I'll probably make a video on it later because I'm like, because a lot of people don't know this. I've been going through the Silmarillion the last like couple months. Not so much like chapter by chapter where we're going through scene by scene, but like stuff that like is interesting, stuff that ties into the Lord of the Rings. So yeah, I'll probably be like doing stuff on that later. But with Peter Jackson, I hope he doesn't try to do everything. I don't think doing everything is really going to help. A lot of people
Correct. And you can't do anything justice if you do everything.
exactly like stick with the Great Tales. If he does something like like the Return of the Noldor or more focused on the story of Beren and Luthien, I think it would just do a lot better. because like I feel like even when I start like making videos, because I make lore videos, I start like dropping terminology and names of locations. Like I'll get comments being like, "Dude, if I didn't know this was Lord of the Rings, it would sound like you're making all these words up." I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, and I'm like, you're right, very right."
So your content in 2025, Pete, just exploded. You had a huge year. I wanted to put, I don't know if you have the numbers on hand, but I mean, your follower count went up by
Oh,
several thousands.
yeah, I mean, so last summer and actually around now, I was probably about like 2,000 followers on
Mm.
both TikTok and Instagram each, so like 4,000 altogether. And now we're at like it's not a huge thing, but it's like we're at like 22,000 on TikTok and we're at like 53,000 on Instagram
Yeah,
now. So
that's
like yeah,
huge. That is huge,
we
Pete.
even got like
Congratulations.
15,000 on Facebook, which is Wild
Oh, and
West out there.
Facebook
Facebook
too.
is
Oh
a whole
my.
different beast.
Yeah, no, I don't I don't have anything to do with Facebook.
It's not that bad.
You do great lore. You have, I really like it personally anyway. It's sort of like this really chill, very calm, like you're not yelling at us with the lore, although we do appreciate and love the passion of our other creators who have that style. But Pete, you're
Hmm.
very calm and collected and very factual and very confident, and I just love it.
Thank you.
Like how did you get there? What was your process?
Well, today I'm going to let you in on the process of making a lore video with be1mont. And at first, it was very bad. Because when I first started making videos, I would add music, and like the music would be too loud, it wouldn't be equalized,
Aw.
and I would talk about, like, I would just kind of ramble. Now, like, a lot of people don't realize that social media is very formulaic in approach. Like, it's
Mm,
crazy how if you just do one style thing, like where you're doing a dance and you do that dance every time to different music, like the algorithm will be kind to you. But I've never really sought that. I've
huh.
never been like, hey, I need to really get popular. I just talk about what I want. And when I would say the one video that really was a turning point or two videos. One video about like, why Saruman is so jealous of Gandalf. And you actually do find out a reason why. It's because of how much like reverence he had, how much respect he got, like being given a ring of like power from Círdan, the shipwright, Gladriel wanting him to be the head of the White Council, even though
Mm.
Saruman was the highest of the order of the Astari. So it's like that video did really well because a lot of that context comes from my favorite book. A lot of people don't know this, but The Unfinished Tales is my favorite book because like
Okay.
you get so much more immersion into the story of like Tor and Turin and the history of
Mm.
Numenor and Galadriel and Celeborn and their story, as well as just like small things like the Astari, the disaster at the Gladden Fields. You learn a lot more about like what goes down there with the Isildur, how he actually escaped and what have you. So that video was like a really big turning point. Then like for some reason the Frodo video, I did a video on like there's I hate stitching videos because I never want to call anyone out, but this woman was talking about watching the movies the first time. She was like, "Why is Frodo so terrible?" And I was like,
Oh,
"God, like I just was
stand
like,
up
let
for
me."
our boy.
Yeah, and then that video got like 3 million views on Instagram or something
Okay.
crazy, and I didn't realize how many people loved Frodo, and I was so happy to see it. So, it was- but when I come to making videos, like I'll read. I always read and I always listen to what I'm going to talk to first, or I do the research. Like I have a Kindle now that I have all the PDFs of the
Mm.
books and the histories all located there, and I've read all this numerous times. So I just go and I look for different like specific words or quotes that I want to use, and I just pull
Searchable
it.
is that sort of like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and
yeah.
like as you can see, there's a whole stack of books. Like I just got a new book here
Oh,
for Father's
oh,
Day. So
oh,
we got the War of the Jewels, Morgoth's Ring, the People of Middle Earth, an
oh,
index. We love indexes
oh.
here.
We do,
So
we do. Maps and indexes and
we got John
pronunciation guides.
Howe's,
Oh,
John
good.
Howe's
That's so
art.
nice. It's
My point being is that like when I come and I try to talk about a subject, I do think about like the opening line. I think an opening line to a video is very important. So
Mhm.
like what's the greatest portrayal in Lord of the Rings? Or
Yeah,
what
well,
if I
that's the
told
thing. You
you?
have interesting questions that are like, oh, I never thought of that. Like, but I do want to know the answer. So what's cool is you're not just reciting things like chronologically or retelling the entire chapter. Like you take the question and then you turn it into something that's real and living and breathing and you answer it, and that's really fun.
Thank you. I appreciate you looking at it like that. 'Cause sometimes I do feel like I'm rambling and just it's just like, hey, I'm here again. It's me. And like I've actually started doing more long form videos too. Like I usually keep my videos to 3 minutes because 3 minutes is the limit on a reel, and then it's like not featured on a For You page. Unlike Instagram. So silly, but I was talking about my favorite character, Tor. Tor is one of my favorite characters of all
Mhm.
time, and it's just such an intricate story where I want others to like appreciate because this is truly like high fantasy in Lord of the Rings. Like we see the story of Baron Luthien. Baron Luthien is very high fantasy, but Tord is coming to Gondolin is like, this dude's playing his harp and the stream next to him starts
The
bubbling
gods
up
are
and
speaking,
like the
yeah.
gods are like and the water's flowing and like he sees seven swans. He's like, damn, dude, I should follow this. So it's cool
Well, I
stuff
mean,
like
we need
that.
to see that. We need to see that in film.
That would be very cool. To see the
Yeah.
Cirith Niniac, the Rainbow Cleft, or the Anon and Gelith
Oh,
of the
yes.
Gate of the Noldor would be so cool. Where like they have the Feanorian lamps in there, Arminas and Galamir. It would be so cool. But yeah, so I try to focus on stuff that would like really intrigue the like I want other people to be very interested in Lord of the Rings. I have gotten a lot of people tell me like because of your videos, I've started reading the books. I was only a movie fan. And I love that. That's like if you tell me that, if I get a video that gets like 100 views and one person tells me that, I'm ecstatic. I'm like, my job is done. This is what I came here to do. I'm here to help you guys appreciate Lord of the Rings more. But then I like to like really dive into stuff where it's like, I want to help the more common reader see something they haven't seen before in the books or make a connection with like something as dense as the Silmarillion, where you look at these prophecies of Ulmo and like the savior coming from the sea, from the house of Hador and what have you, and like how this all connects. And like back to my point about how like the culmination of the Silmarillion is the story of Eärendil, because Eärendil is actually one of the first characters ever made in the Legendarium, because when Tolkien was very young, he read the line Eärendil, the blessed star, over the people of Middle Earth. It's not the exact quote, but then we see the line from Eonwe, the Herald of Manwë, where he's like, "Hail Eärendil, mariner most renowned. Hail Eärendil from the sun and like whatever about the sun and the moon and what have you." But it's just like this is the point of this whole story. It's a tie-in. Like this is the first thing that comes out of the crease. It's called, and like he takes this word Eärendil that has a different spelling and he just makes it like
Mm.
almost the focal point of the whole story of Middle Earth. Because without Eärendil, we wouldn't see Morgoth defeated. We wouldn't see the Second Age start. We wouldn't see like the Rings of Power get created. It all is like this culmination to the point where, when we go and we see Frodo and Samwise, and the best line out of the whole book is Samwise saying, "We're still in these great tales," or like I think it's Frodo. He's like, "We're still in this great tale, the same tale that Beren and Luthien when they went to Angband to take one of the Silmarils off the crown of Morgoth." And it's like it's beautiful, and that's why I always take like Eärendil as like this. He's one of the most important characters, not so much for like who he is, but for what he does and how it reverberates throughout the whole like world itself of Middle Earth. So
Do
it's
you
stuff
and
like
Bart
that.
of Arda have this discussion available to listeners anywhere? Because I feel like we need to hear both sides of this. This is
Um,
fascinating.
No, we should though. We've so a little fun thing too is that we have only done one episode so far, but we are recording others. We're speaking to other like creators too. Tim and I have started kind of just we've always done videos together.
Mhm.
We do like fun. I'll be Aragorn. I'll be in like a recording sometimes, or we'll do like 20 questions, or we'll do funny skits like we did. All of us did like the Hobbit party and stuff. Um, but we'll probably do some videos more, and I think that's a really good talking point where like, we discuss out of all these characters what like is the most catching. And it's really interesting to listen to a lot of people when they talk about these books because like, for example, New Beta loves Sauron and the Witch King. Someone
He
else
sure
loves
does.
Merry and Pippin. Another person like myself love the heroes of the Idine of the first age. I love Tor, I love Turin, I love Húrin, I love Baron. They're like just so cool. Baron especially. I think Baron gets like yes, yes, Luthien is way more powerful and carries that dude. But there are times where, like, my guy is said to be renowned. He's a renowned hunter, a renowned man of the woods. He can speak to birds to the point where he's so close to nature and the animals that live in it, he won't even eat meat anymore. Like, it's so progressive for a
Our
hero to be
plant-based
like that.
king. Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm saying. He's a short king, too, actually.
And a one-handed king, a short one-handed
Short
plant-based king.
one-handed king. I'm not even kidding you. Like he's straight up short king because the house of Beor is said to be the shortest of the three houses of the Idai, the houses of men. And so Luthien had herself a short king, and this dude's out there like just cracking songs too. He's just singing. And a really fun fact, if you don't notice this, every great hero in the Silmarillion, even the Lord of the Rings, all sing. They're all musicians, all of them. Like, if you're not playing them tunes, you ain't doing it well. You know who doesn't play music? Turin. What's up with that, Turin? He writes one song about Belek. That's it. So I'm just saying. Like,
There's probably something to be explored there in further
yeah.
detail, I feel like, Pete. That's another great point. So you look at you just taking all of these and just bringing up new questions to be answered, and I love that so much. Okay, so here is the tough question of the interview so far. Um, we know the Ainu Lindale. I don't think I have to tell you or listeners about the music of the Ainu that created and built the world. If you were singing in that, what kind of theme would you contribute? Like, what would you weave in to the music?
Wow.
What would you sing into existence?
I love Olmo. I'm like a big Olmo crew dude. So I'd love to be a part of the music of water and like the old encapsulation of the Aino Lindale that you could still hear in water itself. It's the closest you could come to the music. But
Mm,
another thing is like I really dig like, and I know this, I'm not trying to be depressing, but like I love the blues. I'm a big blues
yeah.
fan. I play guitar. I learned to play the blues first. That's like what my style was for years. And I really dig Niena and like the grief and sorrow being woven in to make this world even more beautiful than it already is. I love that line, and like especially with the elves. But like, it is this idea that like, you know, you can't live in this idyllic world. There's always going to be these aspects, and it's what makes the world so much more beautiful when these glorious, beautiful things happen, these great things, these good things. So I think I would want to be a part of like the intricate weaving of the world. So, like if I could sing into existence, like yeah, sing the blues. And when it comes to Tolkien, one thing really stands out to me. You think about, even Bilbo Baggins coming home and how like he's in the land he was born that his like toes know so well, and like he's been through so much, and there's such a message. And I know Tolkien wasn't really intentional about it because like the dude hated allegory, though he even said subconsciously existed within the book. Um, there's a little bit of an insight into like what he went through in his life. Loss of his parents, World War One, the Battle of Somme, the loss of his friends. And I think he just wanted people to understand that like this is not a bad thing to shy away from. This world like is filled with this, but it's how you handle it. And it's how you perceive yourself and how you move forward. And having been someone who's gone through, like, I went through a lot of grief around COVID, like I lost best friend, I lost two friends, I lost my father and all this. And grief can be a weight you carry that like, sometimes you don't even notice the baggage until like someone points it out or you realize how tired you feel or how much weight you've actually been carrying this whole time, and then you address it and all of a sudden like you don't feel lighter. I don't want to say you feel lighter as a person. You don't just forget it, but you're different. You're not the same. I'm not the same Pete I was in 2015. I'm not the same Pete I was last year even. And I think it's important people accept that and open their minds to it and not have it be such a pariah to deal with pain, and grief. Like we don't have to be happy all the time. That is a pipe dream to sit there and be like, I'm the happiest person in the world. I'm
Oh
like, and I
yeah.
appreciate that. I don't get me wrong, I appreciate that, but we have to also accept that the world is. Like you're not gonna change that. You're not gonna change the mind of everyone. You can only change what in yourself, and then project it out, for others. So I do appreciate people who are very happy. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think we should shy away from grief or act like, it's something that we should just compartmentalize and put to the side and let go or bottle up and just leave somewhere to be dealt with at a later time. I take a lot of that from Lord of the Rings. It's so weird. Like people are like, isn't that book just about like little people? And I'm like, yeah. I'm
But
like, yeah.
also,
But also.
yeah. Wow, Pete, that was really beautiful. I was not expecting to have such a deep, meaningful philosophy uh, bit from you here, but this is going to make an
Sorry.
excellent clip. Thank you. Pete, any other things that happened in 2025 that you want to share with us?
I got married and all that stuff. Well, obviously, because I'm having a baby. But no, it doesn't happen all the time like that. But no, I had a lot go on this life, this whole time. I've actually, I'm not gonna say too much, but I started like a really good rapport with the Tolkien Society. And one of the things I'm really
Ooh.
looking forward to is a project I've been working on, and it's completed to some extent that everyone could check out soon. But there's also another thing. I'm gonna be doing a recording for what's known as the Big Read in the Tolkien Society. And I'm not gonna tell you what chapters I'm covering, but I'm gonna be covering a part of the Two Towers that I think all of us would really enjoy. And what it's going to be is just like, it's going to be a pre-recorded thing shared with the society where, it's me talking about, some deeper meanings, the meaning behind certain scenes, or just like talking about how cool some of these aspects are and like why we enjoy them so much. So that's going to be in August, I believe, if you want to check it out. But that started back in 2025.
Okay. Oh,
Other
you've
than
been
that,
keep.
there's a lot of other fun stuff going on. I will be doing stuff this summer besides that, and I
Mhm. Are
can't
you
say
going
anything
to
else.
any of the conventions?
I may be going to one of those conventions. Yes,
Okay.
maybe at San Diego. Check me
Okay.
out. But yeah, other than that, the only thing I'm looking forward to that I didn't do in 2025, and now with 2026 here, is the Hobbit Day party. I'm gonna be bringing that back. So what I do is I
Oh.
throw the Hobbit Day party. Obviously, you get an invite. We're gonna watch all the movies. I cook everything from scratch, and we have ourselves a Hobbit meal with breakfast, second breakfast, elevensies, luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, and supper. Those meals. This says 7 a.m. for breakfast. I push it back an hour. I
Okay.
ain't waking up
Okay.
that early.
That's reasonable.
But we open up every Hobbit day, not with the Lord of the Rings movies. We open it with the animated Hobbit, of course.
Yay.
But other than that, yeah, just sticking with the content creation. We're about to finish up Lord of the Silmarillion, and then I don't know what I'm going to do next. I'll probably just start jumping back into Lord of the Rings again. So,
Yeah, well, I mean, Rings of Power will be a very hot topic for the end towards the end of the year. I mean, I know it's not till December, but
oh, it's
oh,
already looking. They've already had some like leaks where we're seeing like Elros. We're gonna
oh,
see
oh,
Elros.
really?
They
Oh,
had a statue leak. Yeah, where it was like
oh,
it's Robert Arameo's like face, but he's got a beard and he no longer has
okay.
pointed ears. He's a man, which is an
Oh,
interesting choice. And then it's a statue of him where it says at the bottom like Elros Tarminiator in Tengwar, Quenya. So it's like we're getting a lot of cool stuff has been announced. I mean, we're apparently going to probably see the One Ring made this season at the end of the season, if I had a guess. But we'll see what ends up happening. And then it's gonna be the War of the Elves in Sauron. So it's this is the good stuff, the Second Age, where it's like not just Numenor. And then of course we're gonna see the
hmm.
expanding issues of the Faithful versus the Kingsmen, and we're gonna finally meet Anarion. The other brother, the younger brother of Isildur. Where I think they switched in the show
Oh,
where
yes.
Anarion's the older brother now. I can't remember though. The Rings of Power is going to be really fun to watch this year, and I think a lot of people will. I think because of last season, it did so much better than the first season that a lot more people are going to check out the third season and be like, all
Hmm.
right, I'm in. I'm in. Because we're getting to the fun stuff. We're about to see the War of the Last Alliance in the next couple of seasons and the fall of Numenor. Spoiler, sorry.
Pete, do you have any last words to leave us on? Any advice you might give to other content creators or just things you're looking forward to?
For any content creator out there who wants to start doing Lord of the Rings stuff, do not be scared to do it. If I see your video, I'll probably repost it. Because at one point I was doing the same thing where I had like 300 followers and I was just out there and I had like people like Callie supporting me so much. And, you know, don't be scared to send me one of your videos. Don't be scared to send any of us one of your videos. We want to see it. We want to see others appreciating Tolkien. So one of the last things I want to say though is how much I appreciate you, Callie. You bring me up as being one of like the founding members of Voice of Arda, but it's actually you and Nubeta who got us all together. And I appreciate that every day because y'all are some of my favorite people, some of my best friends. And I'm glad I could at least be here on this episode doing this so I can say that. Because like you have no idea. This community would be so different if you two didn't make Voice of Art. You have no idea how much like it reverberates and how many individuals like now have like branched off and are like meeting new people and bringing so much knowledge to like the community. Like we weren't getting this. Like we have someone just straight talking about like Tengwar mode and discussing like the different names of elves and it's just like no one was doing this until they had this foundation. And you have to realize that like Voices of Arda is no longer just a podcast. It truly is like I don't want to say a community. It is the foundation for a community, that one that has grown out of it like crazy. I,
Thank you for saying that, though. I mean, definitely. Had a lot of fun over the last 5 or 6 years, just growing the community and finding new people, connecting with people. And then my biggest pride is watching like my baby birds fly, like to watch you guys going off and meeting showrunners and meeting the Tolkien estate and meeting, Peter Jackson and just
So
it's
crazy.
it's it's so cool and definitely the best thing for me to have happened that came out of COVID. Thank you everyone for listening. Pete, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
Uh,
having me.
yeah, we're gonna have you again, and hopefully you guys will hear him even co-hosting some if he would like.
I would, yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you everyone again, and we will see you again next week for another interview.
Bye.
Bye.